Are you looking for a suburb in the Greater Tampa Bay area? Well, today I'm going to tell you all about Wesley Chapel, Florida and San Antonio, Florida. Come on, let's go. Hi, I'm Allison Newlon. I'm the broker owner of Platinum Properties of Florida in San Antonio, Florida. And on this channel, I Love Florida Living, I talk about buying and selling real estate in the Greater Tampa Bay area and also all about living in Florida. If you like what you see, please be sure to subscribe and hit that little red bell so that you know when new videos are posted. So I'm going to start with Wesley Chapel because you've probably heard of Wesley Chapel because it's one of the fastest growing communities in the Greater Tampa Bay area. It's located only about a 30-minute drive north of Tampa, and it is home to so many amenities, shopping amenities, food. You've got Wiregrass Mall, you've got the Premium Outlet Mall, you've got the Grove, you've got Crate at the Grove, and around those different shopping venues, you have the food. You have the food. They have the food at Wesley Chapel. There is not a lack of restaurants in the Wesley Chapel area, but there is a ton of neighborhoods that you can live in. There's some established neighborhoods that have been there for many, many years, Seven Oaks, Meadow Point, for example, but there are newer communities like Wiregrass, Epperson Ranch. Epperson Ranch is home to the first Crystal Lagoon community in the United States and is part of the Connected City corridor, which goes up to San Antonio, which we will talk about in a moment. But I do want to walk it back a little bit, and I want to tell you that it wasn't much more than about 25 years ago or so that Wesley Chapel was really known for having the road to nowhere go through it. From San Antonio to State Road 54 to USF, Bruce B. Downs and Curly Road, they would take you from San Antonio down to USF, and you would be able to get to the University Square Mall. And that road that just drove you past acres and acres, hundreds, thousands of acres of cow pastures was called the Road to Nowhere, and that's what Wesley Chapel was. It was the road to nowhere. Of course, over time, developers found the property and urban sprawl happened, and now we're in the thick of it. The pros of living in Wesley Chapel are that you have all those amenities that I mentioned, all the shopping, all the restaurants, all the different housing options. There's apartments, townhomes, single family homes. You have all of that. They range from starter-ish, I mean, what's a starter home these days, to some luxury homes as well. And you do not have a limitation on housing options. That is a pro. You have sporting complex, you have an ice rink. There's a lot to do right in Wesley Chapel. If you do have to commute to Tampa, it's really not a far commute. It can be a little trafficky because there is still a lot of construction going on at the interstate and State Road 56 and the diverging diamond, which is taking a very long time. And there are road closures with the construction of that. And then overpass is a soon to be exit at I-75 and Overpass Road, which kind of is very close to the Epperson Ranch Crystal Lagoon community. And that's not open yet, but once that opens up, that's going to relieve a lot of the traffic problems that are in Wesley Chapel. So it's not a far distance to Tampa, but it can take you a little bit of time to get there and get back because a lot of people live right there, State Road 54, State Road 56. It can take you a while to get on and off of the exits and get into the interior ways to the neighborhoods. So if you're lucky enough to be able to work from home or work right in Wesley Chapel, that's cool, then it's not a problem. Wesley Chapel is unincorporated, which means it is not its own municipality. There's not a downtown Wesley Chapel. So it's very neighborhood focused. So wherever you choose to live, that's where you're going to be involved in things most likely. Or you can take part in different events that the community hosts at the different places I talked about, like Wiregrass and the Crate and the Grove and the Premium Outlets. So There are things to do, but there's not a downtown area. The location of Wesley Chapel is actually pretty awesome, and here's one of the reasons why. You have very easy access to the interstate once you're able to get on it, and from there you can get to Tampa International Airport, you can zip over to Orlando, you can get to the most beautiful beaches in the entire country, the Gulf beaches, St. Pete Beach, Clearwater Beach, all kinds of access to the Gulf of Mexico. So if you also like boating, but you don't want to live on the water because you don't want to deal with insurance rates for flood insurance or hurricane coverage, you want to have something a little bit less of a risk in the state of Florida, so you want to live a little bit inland but still have access to all of that, Wesley Chapel's a perfect location for you. Now we're going to talk about San Antonio, Florida. Many people, and I can't believe this, still haven't heard about San Antonio, Florida. San Antonio, Florida was established in the late 1800s, and it's only 10 minutes north of Wesley Chapel. 10 minutes north, and so many people are like, oh, I didn't know. What? San Antonio, Florida? What's that? I thought there was only a Texas. I never heard of it. I grew up here. It's really remarkable, but it has been Greater Tampa's best kept secret for such a long time, and it's not a secret anymore. It's really not. And it's sad for many people who live in San Antonio for generations because they don't like to see the urban sprawl come to them. Because San Antonio has been known for basically having some elbow room, giving its residents elbow room. It's not uncommon for people who live in San Antonio to have access to larger lots. And by that I mean, if you're in a neighborhood, you're typically gonna see a third of an acre to a half of an acre. In the neighborhoods within the city limits of San Antonio, you will see, that the houses aren't right next to each other. Outside of the city limits in San Antonio, like in the Mirada Tampa Bay subdivision, that's a whole different story because that is a huge development that's going on in San Antonio, but it's outside the city limits, it's in the county, and when they proposed the development of it, they had to, they're gonna get as much out of each little postage stamp part of land as they can because that's how development works. So San Antonio has really been known for a small town community. It is, like I mentioned, it's incorporated. There is a government body within the city of San Antonio. There are commissioners and there's a mayor, and it runs as a municipality within Pasco County. And San Antonio is only 30 minutes north of Tampa, about 10 minutes north of Wesley Chapel. And you could say, how come Wesley Chapel is only 30 minutes from Tampa and so is San Antonio, but San Antonio is 10 minutes north of Wesley Chapel? I know, it sounds weird, but when you leave San Antonio, you really have to only go through one light at this point in time, and that's right by the interstate. And so you just jump on the interstate and zoom, there you are, Tampa in no time. You're only 10 minutes away from Wesley Chapel, but it takes you longer in Wesley Chapel just to get on the interstate because there's so many more people that live there and the infrastructure has not caught up to the growth. And that is why it is easier to get on and off of the interstate and get to different places such as Tampa, such as the beaches, to Orlando. There are back roads too, and you have to kind of know how to navigate those, but we can get to Orlando. We can be at the gates of Disney, if that's your thing, in about 40 minutes. From house to the gates of Disney in 40 minutes and barely touching I-4. It's true, it can happen. But San Antonio, Florida has been a very small, close-knit community for so many years, and now the development has come up to us. And some people are happy about it because they're able to sell some land and make some money, and some people who have had, generations living here don't like all the development that comes with this. What's good about some of the neighborhoods in San Antonio, and there's not a whole lot of them within the city limits of San An, is that there's typically not a CDD fee because there aren't amenities associated with the actual community. The HOA fees within the city limits of San Antonio, if there happens to be one within a community, tend to be very small. It's just really an administrative fee to help cover the cost of the street lights and also the maintenance of the entry signs that go into the community. There's usually some grass around it that needs to be mowed from time to time, some flowers and whatnot. So there is usually a little tiny fee associated with those communities. But again, there aren't many communities within the city limits of San Antonio that had HOA fees up until recently. Mirada Tampa Bay is being built in San Antonio, not in the city limits, but about 2 miles from the interstate. So to give you a little perspective, you've got the interstate, State Road 52, and about 2 miles to the east of the interstate is Mirada Tampa Bay, that's the entrance, and then about a mile further east is where the city limits or the downtown area of San Antonio is located. Mirada Tampa Bay is a massive planned community, all centered around the 15-acre Crystal Lagoon that is supposed to open up sometime in late 2022. So you will have an HOA fee, you will have a CDD fee there because they have to pay for these amenities. For about $50 a month or so, a little bit less than $50 a month, residents who live in Mirada Tampa Bay will have access to the Crystal Lagoon. You can drive golf carts from your house to the lagoon all around the community. There are dog parks, there's walking paths, there's nature trails. There's going to be a lot within the community. And it also has Ultra 5, which is the fastest available internet speeds in the country. So if you do work from home, it's awesome because you will have awesome internet and you don't have to get in your car and drive down to Tampa if you don't want to. The infrastructure in San Antonio is being worked on and it hasn't quite caught up yet, but it is close. It's very close to running. State Road 52 is going to take you directly into Dade City, Florida, through Mirada, right onto 301 in Dade City, and those, I believe it's 6 lanes, and that's going to open up soon, very soon. So the traffic situation in the San Antonio area will get better. However, that being said, there are plans for a new town center shopping complex at State Road 52 and I-75 to the west of Mirada Tampa Bay. So it will bring more shopping, more amenities to San Antonio, because really there's not a lot of amenities in San Antonio. There is now a Publix that opened up with the opening of the Mirada Tampa Bay, but before that there were no amenities. Grocery shopping was about 10 miles away. So the new town center, which will take a few years to be completed, will bring amenities that people are more accustomed to. But remember, we're only 10 minutes away from Wesley Chapel and all those other amenities and restaurants and things that we talked about, shopping, restaurants. It's only 10 minutes away when you live in San Antonio. San Antonio, Florida is right next to St. Leo University and Lake Jovita, the actual lake, also known as Clear Lake, and hills. There are hills that run through the campus on St. Leo and overlook the lake. So if you live in San Antonio, you can take a golf cart, you can take a bike, you can walk if you can. You can go and just walk on the campus of St. Leo and enjoy nature, real nature. It's beautiful to take a walk around here. Take a more detailed tour around San Antonio, Florida. Watch this video.